Have you ever noticed that after a session, that silent emptiness hits? Your body may relax for a few minutes, but your soul feels heavy. The energy fades, your mind loses focus, and an invisible weight takes over you. Why does this happen? Why, even knowing the fatigue, the guilt, and the loss of focus, do you keep coming back? How many times have you promised yourself to stop, only to fall again just hours later? It's a cycle you know all too well. You think you're in control, but something deeper pulls you back in. Maybe you think this is just lust, just biological instinct. But what if it's not? What if this uncontrollable desire isn't just physical, but a signal that something inside of you is out of alignment? What if the emptiness, the craving, is your inner self trying to speak to you? That's what happens when we ignore our deeper needs. We get caught in a loop, thinking that pleasure will fill the gap, but it never does. What you don't bring to consciousness returns as destiny. The pleasure you chase may be more than it seems. It might actually be a message from your own shadow, a call for integration. When you ignore that call, it turns into compulsion. That's why you find yourself thinking about sex even when you don't want to. It's not weakness. It's not weakness. It's vital energy, asking for a channel. That unchanneled energy doesn't disappear. It circulates, quietly working behind the scenes, draining your focus and your willpower. Now, imagine the opposite. Imagine taking that same energy, which now drains you, and transforming it into fuel for your life. Imagine waking up with clarity, with energy, with a purpose burning inside you, a fire you can't ignore. Imagine entering a room and being noticed without saying a word, because your presence carries weight that no one can ignore. This is not fantasy. This is the effect of sexual energy, transmutation. What once was emptiness becomes strength. What once was addiction becomes magnetism. What once trapped you now becomes the key to your freedom. The secret lies in learning to control your most powerful energy, the very force that shapes your thoughts, actions, and potential. This video isn't about repression or giving in. It's about learning to harness and direct that energy, to no longer be a slave to it, but to transform it into something that empowers you. If you're tired of living as a slave to cheap pleasure, stay tuned. What you'll discover here could be the turning point between continuing to drain your energy in seconds, or becoming a man who inspires, creates, and leads with the fire of his own vital energy. Before diving deeper into this content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Here, every video is a tool for transformation, designed for those seeking self-mastery and purpose. If you want to walk this journey of growth and control, this is the right place. Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds to ever study the human psyche, was one of the first to reveal that sexual desire is much more than just a biological instinct. To Jung, libido wasn't merely the physical urge for sex. It was the life force itself, the energy that moves your mind, your creativity, and even your spirituality. When this energy is repressed, it doesn't just go away. It doesn't disappear. It sinks deep into the unconscious, where it festers, grows, and re-emerges as something even more destructive. That's when it turns into addiction, compulsion, and an overwhelming drive that you can't control. This is why so many men are prisoners of their sexual impulses. It's not because they're weak, it's because they've been unaware of the true power within them, and instead of controlling that energy, they've allowed it to control them. The result is a life of distractions, misdirection, and a lack of focus. You find yourself drifting through your day, energy drained, mind clouded, always seeking the next distraction to fill the void. But what if you could redirect that energy? What if you could turn that raw, unspent power into something more powerful? That's what we're talking about here. Transmutation, the art of transforming energy, turning the physical impulse into mental and spiritual strength. When you learn to master this energy, you unlock the power to achieve your goals, enhance your creativity, and become a force to be reckoned with. You can stop wasting your energy on fleeting pleasure and instead, direct it toward creating something meaningful. Imagine living each day with energy, focus, and a sense of purpose that radiates from within. Imagine no longer being trapped by your desires, but using that very force to propel yourself toward greatness. This is the power you can access, and it all starts by recognizing your energy, not as something to be feared, but as a vital force you can learn to control. If you want to unlock this power, stick with me, and let's dive deeper into this journey together. When this energy is not recognized, it doesn't disappear, it sinks into the unconscious, and that's where the problem lies. Repressed desire becomes an active shadow. What isn't faced directly turns into an internal ghost, acting in hidden ways. You think you're in control, but in reality, it's these unconscious forces that direct your thoughts, choices, and behaviors. That's why so many men find themselves prisoners of sexual impulses, not because they're weak, but because they're being guided by forces they don't understand. And what are the consequences of this? First, the mind becomes sexualized, even without wanting to. That endless cycle of fantasies, images, and distractions drains mental energy that could be used to create, lead, or grow. Next, the body begins to feel the effects: fatigue, lack of vitality, difficulty focusing. Each moment of instant pleasure gives a sense of relief, but soon after comes emptiness, anxiety, and guilt. This cycle becomes addictive, and the impact doesn't stop within. In the external world, this energy drain shows up subtly, but perceptibly. A man's aura changes. He loses magnetism, carries a heavy presence, and exudes neediness instead of strength. And this causes rejection both from women and opportunities. Because even before he speaks, people sense who you really are. The addiction to instant pleasure chips away at self-confidence. Every time you give in to the impulse, you reinforce the internal belief that you can't control yourself. This creates a silent weakening, like a leaking pipe slowly draining your reserves of energy. This is the invisible prison many men live in, and it all starts because they never learned to handle their own sexual energy. It wasn't meant to be wasted, it was meant to be channeled. When you don't understand this, desire not only steals your focus, it steals your destiny. The key to this transformation lies in three things: awareness, inner silence, and an elevated channel. Awareness is the first step, recognizing that what you feel is not just desire, but a creative force waiting to be channeled into something greater. When you are aware of this energy, you no longer see it as something to be feared or rejected, but as something to be respected and understood. Inner silence is crucial. Transmutation doesn't happen in noise or external distractions. You need to create space within yourself where the impulse can be observed without judgment, without repression. In that moment of pause, the mind loses control, and the spirit can take the lead. Finally, the elevated channel is the direction you give to this energy. When you don't channel it, it gets lost in vices and fantasies. But when you direct it toward creation, spirituality, and a higher purpose, it expands. It becomes the foundation of your strength, your magnetism, your presence. When you start practicing sexual energy transmutation, you not only change your relationship with desire, but with your own life. What once was compulsion now becomes a source of power and clarity. You stop fighting against yourself and begin using this energy to create, lead, and serve your purpose. If this content is resonating with you and you're enjoying this journey, leave a like. It helps me continue bringing more videos like this with deep and transformative insights. Now that we understand the nature of sexual energy and how it can be transmuted, it's time to talk about how you can apply this knowledge practically in your day-to-day life to start seeing real results. It's not enough just to understand the theory. Real power comes from conscious action. The biggest mistake many make is trying to repress desire, thinking it's the same as control. When you fight something inside yourself, you create an internal battle that only reinforces the problem. The first practical step is simply to respect your desire when it arises. Instead of rejecting or giving in, pause, breathe deeply, and observe what's happening inside you. This isn't about denying the desire, but about observing it without judgment. Recognize it as part of your vital energy, but don't let it dictate your actions. Instead of spending your energy on immediate impulses, start channeling it into something creative or productive. For example, whenever you feel the sexual urge or the need to distract yourself, redirect that energy into a creative project or intense physical exercise. If you write, take this moment to put ideas down on paper. If you train, use that energy to move your body with greater strength. Channeling this energy into something constructive helps turn desire into a creative force that propels you forward. Instead of holding you back, practicing sexual retention doesn't mean repressing yourself. It means learning to direct that energy to other areas of life. Every time you feel the urge to masturbate or seek instant pleasure, pause for a moment and ask yourself what it's trying to fill inside you. If you're seeking relief from anxiety or emptiness, ask, what do I really lack here? How can I fill myself in a healthier and more meaningful way? This is the moment to make a conscious decision, spend or transmute. Finally, create moments of inner silence. When you're distracted or consumed by desire, the mind is noisy. Daily meditation, if just for 5 minutes, can help create the space. You need to observe desire without being controlled by it. In this space of silence, your true spiritual energy can emerge, and you'll begin to notice a clarity and focus that once seemed distant. These practices aren't magical, but daily habits that begin to transform your energy from the inside out. When you start applying these tools, you'll notice your vital energy transforming into something powerful and constructive. Desire will no longer be your enemy, but a force you can use to achieve your goals, improve your life, and become the best version of yourself. The true transmutation of sexual energy is not just an internal change, it's an external revolution. When you begin directing this force toward a higher purpose, the results become evident, not just in your life, but in the lives of those around you. First, you begin to notice a significant increase in energy and focus. Your mind is no longer scattered. Your attention becomes laser-focused, able to concentrate on more challenging tasks. Your body strengthens from the retention of this energy, and your confidence grows because you are in control of your own vital force. The feeling of being lost or directionless starts to disappear, replaced by an uncommon clarity and magnetic presence. The impact goes beyond your inner world. You begin attracting respect, not by your appearance, but by the energy you carry. Women, men, colleagues, all begin to notice something different about you. You no longer need to try hard to be noticed, because your energy does it for you. Opportunities arise naturally, as if the universe is conspiring in your favor, because you now exude genuine magnetism, founded on self-mastery and purpose. Remember, the transmutation of sexual energy is not about repressing or giving in to desire, but about integrating it. You are not your desire. You are the man who decides the fate of that energy. When you master this, your potential expands in ways you never imagined possible. Thank you for staying until the end. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the Neuro Alchemy channel so you don't miss the next content. See you in the next video, where we will continue this journey of self and evolution. Until then.